6 months ago, I was broke, depressed, and living in my mom's basement at 28 years old. Today, I'm writing this from my dream apartment in Manhattan, with a 6-figure business and the love of my life sleeping next to me. What changed everything wasn't luck or hard work alone, it was understanding how quantum physics actually works with consciousness to create reality. I know how that sounds. Trust me, I was skeptical too. But after studying quantum mechanics for 2 years, and applying these principles systematically, I can tell you that manifestation isn't wishful thinking, it's science we're only beginning to understand. Let me start with where I was 6 months ago, because the contrast is important. I'd just been fired from my 3rd job in 2 years, a dead-end customer service position that barely paid rent. My girlfriend of 4 years had left me, taking our shared dreams of traveling the world and starting a family. I was $23,000 in debt, had no savings, and was sleeping on a twin bed in my childhood room while my mom asked daily when I planned to get my life together. I felt like I was trapped in a reality that kept getting worse no matter what I tried. I'd read every self-help book, tried positive thinking, written gratitude lists, created vision boards, nothing worked. If anything, focusing on what I wanted just made me more aware of what I didn't have. That's when I discovered the work of Dr. Joe Dispenza, and started researching the actual science behind consciousness and reality creation. What I learned changed everything. The first breakthrough came when I understood that quantum physics proves reality isn't fixed, it's a field of infinite possibilities that collapse into specific experiences based on observation and measurement. At the quantum level, particles exist in superposition, meaning they're in all possible states simultaneously until conscious observation forces them to choose a specific state. This isn't metaphysical theory, it's been proven repeatedly in laboratories worldwide. The double-slit experiment, delayed choice quantum eraser experiments, and quantum entanglement studies all demonstrate that consciousness plays a fundamental role in determining physical reality. But here's what most people get wrong about manifestation: they think it's about wishing and hoping from their current state of consciousness. That's like trying to create a different reality using the same frequency that created your current problems. The real secret is understanding that you are both the observer and the observed. Your consciousness isn't separate from the quantum field, it is the quantum field expressing itself through your nervous system. When you change your internal state consistently enough, you literally tune into different probability streams in the quantum field. I started with the most basic principle, changing my energy signature. Every emotion has a specific electromagnetic frequency that your heart generates. When you're grateful, your heart produces coherent electromagnetic patterns that can be measured scientifically. When you're stressed or afraid, your heart creates chaotic, incoherent patterns. Here's the crucial part: the quantum field responds to the frequency you're broadcasting, not the words you're saying or the images you're visualizing. You can't manifest abundance while feeling lack, no matter how many vision boards you create. So I started with a simple practice: twice a day, for 20 minutes, I would sit quietly and generate the feeling of already having achieved my goals. Not thinking about them or visualizing them, actually feeling the emotional state I would have if they were already real. I would ask myself, how would I feel right now if I already had financial freedom? If I was already in a loving relationship? If I already lived in my dream location? Then I would breathe those feelings into my heart center and maintain them for the entire 20 minutes, no matter what thoughts arose. This isn't positive thinking, it's emotional reconditioning. You're literally rewiring your nervous system to recognize and expect different experiences. The first week was hell. My mind fought this practice constantly, flooding me with thoughts about my real situation, my debts, my failures. But I kept returning to the feeling states, understanding that resistance meant I was breaking through old neural patterns. After 2 weeks, something shifted. I noticed I was making different choices throughout the day, choices that aligned with someone who already had what I wanted. Instead of buying cheap coffee, I occasionally bought the good stuff, acting as if I already had plenty of money. Instead of staying home feeling sorry for myself, I went to networking events and spoke to people as if I already had value to offer. These weren't big changes, but they were frequency changes. I was starting to embody a different version of myself. Week 3 brought the first coincidence. A former colleague called out of nowhere with a freelance project that paid $2,000. This had never happened before in my entire career. But instead of seeing it as luck, I recognized it as the quantum field responding to my new energy signature. I took the project and delivered exceptional work, approaching it from the mindset of someone who already ran a successful business. The client was so impressed they referred me to 3 other companies. By month 2, I was earning more from freelance work than I'd ever made at any job. But the real test came when I decided to move to New York. Logically, this made no sense. I had no job lined up, no apartment secured, and barely enough savings for a security deposit. But the version of myself I was embodying, the successful entrepreneur living his dream life, wouldn't let fear make his decisions. I applied the quantum principle of acting as if on a bigger scale. Instead of waiting until I could afford New York, I decided New York could afford me. I started looking at apartments online as if I already had the income to support them. I researched the best neighborhoods as if I already belonged there. Most importantly, I maintained the emotional state of someone whose move to New York was inevitable, not hopeful. The universe responded in ways that still amaze me. First, one of my freelance clients offered me a full-time remote position with a salary that was double what I'd ever earned. The same week, I found an apartment in Greenwich Village that was somehow $800 below market rate because the previous tenant had left suddenly, and the landlord wanted it filled immediately. When I told my mom I was moving to New York, she surprised me by offering to help with the security deposit, something she'd never done before. "You seem different lately," she said. "More confident, like you actually know what you're doing now." She was right. I wasn't hoping or wishing anymore, I was operating from certainty. And certainty, I'd learned, is the emotional signature that creates the strongest quantum field effects. The move itself felt surreal. Everything fell into place with an ease I'd never experienced before. The movers showed up exactly on time, traffic was light, my new apartment was even better than the photos, and my new neighbors welcomed me like I'd always belonged there. But the biggest manifestation was still coming. I'd been single for 8 months, and wasn't actively dating. I was focused on building my business, and adjusting to New York life. But I was also practicing generating the feeling of being in a loving, supportive relationship during my daily sessions. I wasn't visualizing a specific person or trying to attract someone. I was simply embodying the emotional state of someone who was deeply loved and supported, feeling gratitude for a relationship that didn't yet exist in my physical reality. 3 months after moving to New York, I met Sarah at a coffee shop in Soho. But met isn't the right word, we collided. Literally. She was rushing out with her laptop bag and didn't see me coming in. Coffee went everywhere, her laptop nearly crashed to the ground, and we both ended up laughing at the chaos. "This is either the worst meet cute ever or the best," she said, helping me wipe coffee off my shirt. Something about her energy felt immediately familiar, like reconnecting with someone I'd known my whole life. We ended up talking for 4 hours, closing down the coffee shop, then walking around the city until midnight. Sarah is everything I had been feeling in my manifestation practice: brilliant, supportive, adventurous, and completely aligned with the life I was creating. She's a quantum physicist. The synchronicity wasn't lost on either of us, who studies consciousness and quantum field theory at Columbia. Our first real conversation was about how quantum mechanics suggests that love might be a fundamental force like gravity or electromagnetism, not just an emotion, but an organizing principle that creates coherence in quantum systems. 6 months later, we're living together in an even better apartment, running a successful online business teaching quantum manifestation principles, and planning to launch a research project studying the measurable effects of consciousness on quantum fields. But this isn't just a success story, it's an instruction manual. Because what I learned through this process is that manifestation follows specific, repeatable principles that anyone can apply. Here are the key insights that created these results. Principle 1. Reality is selected, not created. Every possible version of your life already exists as potential in the quantum field. You're not creating something from nothing, you're selecting which probability wave to collapse into experience. This happens through the frequency of your consistent emotional state, not your thoughts or wishes. Principle 2, embodiment precedes experience. You must become the person who has what you want before you can have what you want. This isn't about pretending or positive thinking, it's about genuinely rewiring your nervous system to expect and recognize different experiences. Principle 3, feeling is the secret. The quantum field responds to electromagnetic signatures, not mental concepts. Your heart generates an electromagnetic field 5,000 times stronger than your brain. When you generate coherent emotional states consistently, you broadcast a signal that draws corresponding experiences. Principle 4, act from the end. Every decision should come from the version of yourself who already has what you want. Instead of asking how can I get what I want, ask what would someone who already has this do in this situation. Then do that. Principle 5, trust the process. Quantum manifestation often works through synchronicities and coincidences that your logical mind can't predict or control. Your job is to maintain the frequency and take inspired action when opportunities appear, not to figure out the how. The practice that changed everything was this simple meditation. Every morning and evening, I spend 20 minutes generating the emotional state of already having achieved my major goals. I feel grateful for the financial freedom, the loving relationship, the meaningful work, the beautiful home, all as if they're already real. I breathe these feelings into my heart center and maintain them regardless of what my mind says about my current situation. I end each session by stating, I am so grateful that all of this or something even better is now manifesting in my life. Then I go about my day making decisions from that elevated emotional state. The results have been consistent and dramatic. My business now generates over $30,000 per month. Sarah and I are planning to get engaged next year. We're looking at buying a house in the Hudson Valley. I've gone from broke and depressed to living a life that exceeds what I used to think was possible. But the most important change is internal. I no longer feel like a victim of circumstances or at the mercy of external conditions. I understand that I'm a conscious creator, working with quantum principles that are as reliable as gravity. This isn't about believing in magic, it's about understanding that consciousness and quantum physics are revealing how reality actually works at the most fundamental level. The science is clear. Observation affects reality at the quantum level. Your emotional state generates measurable electromagnetic fields. Your nervous system can be rewired through consistent practice. The quantum field contains infinite possibilities waiting to be selected through conscious observation. When you combine these scientific facts with consistent practice, manifestation becomes as natural and predictable as any other skill. The life you want isn't in the future, it exists right now as potential in the quantum field. Your job is to become the person who naturally selects that reality through your consistent emotional signature and aligned actions. What reality are you currently selecting with your emotional state? What would you need to embody to select the reality you actually want? The quantum field is waiting for your signal. What version of yourself will you choose to become?